understanding of the reality, and it is an act upon this understanding of reality. It mainly because that when I look at the universe and look at the book of Quran and bear witness the unequivocal signs and evidence, then I actually go and bow down. I go and worship. I go and submit to the Supreme Being. That is my understanding of faith.
Well, I'm glad that you said, I don't believe in God on the basis of faith. I think for people to believe in God on the basis of faith is pretty common today. I would hesitate to say how common. I just know that it is pretty frequent. And I think that one thing, a second thing that I've appreciated about you during our conversations is not only do you seem to be a sincere seeker of the truth, but you seem to value reason a great deal, and I think that's important. So I'm pleased that you say that it's not a matter of faith for me. And this implies that you want to base your belief on something more substantial than simply wishful thinking. Now, your talk about bearing witness is rather confusing to me, because this idea of bearing witness can have a lot of different meanings. When I think of the term bearing witness, what I think is simply a public declaration, saying to other people in a community what you think, what you speculate, what you know, those kinds of things. But you seem to be using it in a rather different way. Not only does it include the idea of a public declaration, but you imply that you are stating something that you know. Something that you know, that God exists. And my thought is you're going too far. In other words, if you want to say bearing witness means publicly stating what you believe to be probably true, then I can accept that. I mean, that's what I'm doing as well. I'm saying publicly what I believe is probably true and probably false. But if you're trying to say that you know something here, that is, that God exists, that shows a lack of humility to me. It shows that you've gone beyond the evidence, and you're declaring some truth about the universe that you're not entitled to proclaim based upon rational thinking about the evidence.
Okay. I think it's to me, and when I look at the words that use in that Arabic word as well, the meaning of that one, it's really not a public declaration, because first of all, there is no requirement of public declaration anyway. You don't have to publicly declare that you are Muslim, but you have to privately acknowledge that statement in order to become Muslim. And you could become Muslim and make the statement and live your life without letting anyone to know at all, and you will be a Muslim. So that's why it doesn't really mean the public declaration. It means that shahada is like you are witnessing something. That witness is because come from the very same word, being witness to certain thing. So in this case, you become witness to the existence. You bear witness the existence of God. You bear witness the sign of the existence of God, the evidence of the existence of God. So you're not just believing in that. Yes, indeed, it is seeing the reality. It's observing the reality regarding the existence of God based on the unequivocal evidences, based on what we call in Quranic term ayah, sign, but those unequivocal, compelling signs that you see, that you conclude without any doubt that indeed there is all-powerful, all-wise, all-merciful Creator behind what you observe and what you experience as reality in the universe. So that's why I think for me it's really is not a matter of faith, it's a matter of understanding the reality. It is really it is based on my observation and witnessing of this reality. Of course, you can ask the question and say, would you see really? But the question is, if I see the reality, if you ask me if I go to a certain room and I see the certain system there and actually see a compelling sign that the arrangement and the product and the work of that in that room are clearly the works of a particular or the particular person, if I see the signature of this person, I see the fingerprint of this person, in other words, I see an unequivocal evidence that those belong to this person, and I come to you and say, yeah, indeed, I bear witness that those products belong to this person, then I don't think that you should say this is not a humble statement. This is just a statement of the truth. It's not like I know that. If I say, like I know that, it's basically declaring the truth.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you clarified that term, bearing witness, because in Western culture, it means more speaking to other people or testifying to other people. There is a public aspect to it. But you're saying, from your point of view, it doesn't require a public statement. You could just say it to yourself. You could bear witness by just talking to yourself. Okay, I mean, I can use that idiosyncratic meaning in our discussion and I'll know what you meant. But to me, even taking it as you have defined it, to me, you're merely stating your belief that the evidence is sufficient to rationally conclude that God exists. The belief that the evidence is sufficient to rationally conclude that God exists. You're not stating your knowledge, you're stating your belief. I would disagree with you. I would say the evidence is not sufficient to rationally conclude that God exists. And of course, that's what we're going to be getting into. Is it or isn't it? But to me, you're just stating your belief. You're not stating your knowledge. In fact, I will make the claim that nobody knows that God exists or does not exist who lives on earth, who lives in earthly existence. Nobody knows that. Nobody has ever known it. Nobody knows it now. I won't go as far to say as that nobody will never know it, because I can't tell the future. I don't have a crystal ball to look into the future and say what will happen in the future. I'll just say, for the past and the present, nobody has knowledge of God's existence. Since we're almost about out of time, I wanted to pose one critical question to you before we stop. I'll give my answer, and I hope you'll give your answer. The question is this: in your opinion, on a scale from 0 to 100%, what is the probability that God really exists? I'll give you my answer right off the bat. If we use only the numbers 0 to 100, I'll put it at 1%. If I'm allowed to use other numbers, I would say it's somewhere between 0 and 1%. It's not 0, but some other number. But I'd like for you to address that question.